Isn't it true that you want to fly commercial so that you can fly in luxury? How much money did you pay for Tyler Perry's Gulfstream jet, for example?
Well, for example, that's really none of your business, but...
Isn't it the business of your donors?
Listen, I paid. The airplane that we have that I bought from Tyler Perry, and I didn't pay anywhere. Tyler's one of the greatest guys. He made that airplane so cheap for me, I couldn't help but buy it. I love your eyes.
Again, getting back to the comment, you said that you don't like to fly commercial because you don't want to get into a tube with a bunch of demons. Do you really believe that human beings are demons?
No, I do not. And don't you ever say I did. We wrestle not with flesh and blood, but principalities and powers.
Did you know that an interdimensional being helped Steve Jobs create Apple? Let's flash back to 1973. Steve had just dropped out of college. Upon dropping out, Steve was fueled by a deep desire for spiritual enlightenment. And in this quest, Steve read books that led his journey to India. I promise that we'll talk about these books in a second. What people don't know is that this trip to India would fundamentally change the course of human history. Now, it was here in India where Steve met Haidakhan Baba. If you're wondering, yes, Haidakhan is this interdimensional being. Now, you may be asking yourself, what makes this guy an interdimensional being? Now, Haidakhan Baba, also known as Babaji, was discovered in a cave at the age of 18 practicing yoga and meditating. And what's even crazier is that Babaji claimed that he had no mother and no father. Instead, he said that he just manifested out of thin air. And even though people believe he was 18 years old, there's reason to believe that he might be a lot older. For instance, one of the books that Steve Jobs was reading earlier was actually written in the 1900s and claimed that Baba was actually around, alive, or incarnated, if you will, in the 1800s. And again, we'll discuss that book in a second. Which is also interesting because Babaji also claims to be immortal. Now, Babaji said that his purpose for incarnating or manifesting on Earth was to help humanity evolve in a spiritual and enlightened way. Now, also whenever Steve met Babaji, is that he claimed that he was initiated with a spiritual name as well. Which leads me to believe that Steve was actually inducted into a form of yoga that not too many people know about. And that form of yoga is mentioned in the book that led Steve to India in the first place. Alright, I've teased it enough, I'll tell you guys what the book is. It's the book that led Steve to India. It's a book that talks about the tale of Babaji before Steve was even born. The book is Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansana Yogananda. Now, I've been reading this book and let me tell you, it is wild. And I highly recommend that everybody reads this book. However, if you're not completely sold yet, let me give you more information. To get that information, you're going to go there or down there. At which point, you'll find my latest where I talk about the Kriya Yoga, which is absolutely insane, and I talk about this book in more detail. And trust me, this book will absolutely blow your mind.
What's a conspiracy theory that you 1,000% believe in?
Rich people are funding space exploration because they're planning on leaving this planet. You and I are not going to be invited. And they're propping up cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Dogecoins because they want to see which one is going to do better on whatever colony that they find. And we're just going to be left here. There's articles written about it. Like, I could show you, hold on. Like, they're giving us tidbits, articles like this. Articles like this. In the next 100 years, the world as a whole is not going to look the same, and the rich and their descendants are trying to figure out a way to GTFOH, if you know what I mean.
If we are in 5D, how are things like this still taking place? People been asleep for so long on this planet, they forgot that everything is dealing with growth. We should have been in 5D 1,000 years ago. Remember, we are in 3D and we are trying to get to 5D. But there are other entities that's on the second dimension trying to get in our dimension. But we've been stuck for so long, we are now merging. These timelines are real. This is why it seems like the world is getting more crazy, but It's just that second dimensional beings are now walking the same timeline with us. Nature gave us spirit guides to actually help us grow in this world, but we are afraid of everything. Remember they said black cats are bad luck if they cross your path? What if I told you black cats actually protect you from going into a different timeline? If you go back and watch the movie Thor, they actually explain how everything worked in our universe. But we still think everything is just entertainment. It's not entertainment. Here is a few symptoms or emotions you might go through when you are actually ascending or trying to go to a higher realm. By the way, did you know the sun that we see is just a reflection from the inner earth, the inner sun? But they tried to lie to us and say Jesus or the sun walked on water. This is what they mean when they say the sun walked on water. They're really talking about the real sun walking on water. It looked like a cross path where you go walk, right? Timelines are now collapsing and lower entities are now merging with higher entities. This is why the planet is heating up, because Earth wants us to ascend to higher realms.
So you want to know more about petrified giants or animals? That's good. That's real good. Alright, listen to this. So first, the meaning of petrified is when you change organic matter into a stony substance, a bit like this giant snake found in Thailand. You can tell this is not a natural rock formation because you can literally see the snake's scales. Many people struggle to believe in this because they don't believe that giants existed and they don't believe that animals could have grown that big. But let me ask you a question. What do you think this is? A natural rock formation? Come on, brother. Now the mainstream narrative says it takes a minimum of 5,000 years for something to be petrified, and the way this occurs is when something is buried underwater, buried under mud, or buried under volcanic ash, basically deprived from oxygen, which is all possible. Which leads me on to the second meaning of the word petrified, which is to make something so frightened it is unable to move. Oh my days, I believe that there once was a weapon that could turn organic matter into stone, a bit like the story of Medusa. Seeing such a weapon turn people into stone would also make you so frightened you was unable to move, hence the word petrified. Look at this titan found in Italy. It was almost as if somebody told him to stand in place, hold the bridge, and then he was petrified into stone. Like I said before, the eyes are useless when the mind is blind.
There's a theory circulating that there is a continent hidden right beneath our feet. This was apparently a very advanced continent or nation named Tartaria, which reigned in the Middle Ages. They were said to have had advanced technology that some people believe is hidden from us today, like free energy. And some people have pointed out that in many maps in the 16th and 17th century, there's a landmass that spreads over China, Russia, and parts of the US that's labeled Grand Tartary or Tartaria. Many people believe that this nation would have still reigned today if it had not have been for a catastrophic mud flood or event that covered their entire land. What's interesting about the mud flood claim is that here, at least where I'm located in the US, a lot of our buildings have half buried windows, and digging around these buildings for renovations would reveal buried portions with rooms and doorways, almost as if these buildings were built by a previous civilization and we just built on top of it. We also have a very elaborate cave system, which some people believe are just the buried roads from the Tartarian Empire long ago.